The 2016 World Series had any and everything a baseball fan could possibly want. And it featured the two teams with the longest championship droughts in all of Major League Baseball history. The Chicago Cubs, who hadn't won a World Series since 1908. They hadn't even been in a World Series since 1945. And the Cleveland Indians. Now, you didn't hear about their drought quite as much, but they sure didn't have it much better than the team from the north side of Chicago. The Indians hadn't won a World Series since 1948. And so we had a series of two teams with pretty similar recent histories and pretty close in proximity. Only about 350 miles on I-90 from Chicago to Cleveland. And we all know how it started. The Cleveland Indians took a commanding 3-1 lead against the Cubs, drawing a really cool parallel to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who in the same year were down 3-1 in the NBA Finals. But after a brutal loss in Game 5, the Cubs winning 3-2, Cleveland missed opportunity after missed opportunity, hitting just 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. The series moves back to Cleveland, where the Cubs get a big win, 9-3, heading on to Game 7, winner takes all of the 2016 Fall Classic. And it was electric. I mean, all over the crowd, you could feel the energy. Through your TV screen, you gathered how big of a game this was. And I think what made it even better is, of course, this is a Cleveland Indians home game, but like we said, it's not too far. And the Cubs fans, who have had so much pain to endure, you best believe there was a lot of them in attendance. On the mound, an incredible matchup of Corey Kluber and Kyle Hendricks. Coincidentally, both of them finishing number 3 in the Cy Young voting in the American League and National League, respectively. And lucky for those Cub fans, they'd have something to cheer about early. On just the 4th pitch of the game, Dexter Fowler hits a leadoff home run against Corey Kluber, coming into this game, hitting just 160 in the World Series. 1-0 after one batter. Just a sinker drifting right towards the heart of the plate, and Dex did not miss it. And following that, known speedster, renowned taco hero, Kyle Schwarber hits an infield single. He'd later steal second base as well, but it wouldn't materialize, and Corey Kluber would get out of the inning, giving up just that one run. Luckily for the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks looked great out of the gate. This is back when he threw that sinker-cutter combo a bit more. 2 pitches that, when blended properly, just make it so difficult to do anything to get the barrel on as a hitter. A slow rolling ground ball to second base. Javier Baez awkwardly fields it from his knees, throws from his knees, and the throw's in the dirt. So Lindor reaches on a E4. But it wouldn't matter, because 2 pitches later, Hendricks gets Napoli to ground out, and the inning ends. In the second, Kluber looks much sharper. He retires Addison Russell, Wilson Contreras, and Jason Hayward 1-2-3. In the bottom half, a 23-year-old Jose Ramirez leads off with the single, but he wouldn't stay at first base for long because he'd get picked off. A very nice move by Kyle Hendricks, Rizzo with the tag, and he's heading back to the dugout. This is a common theme that you'll notice within this Game 7. There was lots of mistakes. This ended up being a fairly sloppy game on the biggest stage. After that, Lonnie Chisenhall gets on with the single, but Rajai Davis on the first pitch will ground into a double play to end the second. And to continue my point, in the third, Kyle Schwarber, 2 outs, up for his second time, spanks a ball to the right field wall. He would get thrown out on a beautiful throw from Lonnie Chisenhall in right field. Starting off the bottom half of the third for the Indians, Coco Crisp. That sinker-cutter combo doesn't quite mesh properly. 2 pitches staying in the exact same spot. Coco makes him pay with the double. And in comes Roberto Perez with a nice sacrifice. We love catchers that can lay down a bunt. Next batter, Carlos Santana hanging curveball, and we've got a tie game at 1. And trouble brewing for the Cubs. A ground ball, tailor-made double play to Addison Russell. He flips it to Javi Baez, who tries to make a quick turn, bare hand catching it, drops the ball, everybody's safe, and Javi Baez is tagged for his second error already in the third inning. It only get worse from there, because here comes Francisco Lindor, and he gets up in the count 3-0, but a nice drifting sinker gets him to fly out. And next up, Mike Napoli ropes a ball down the third baseline, but an excellent play by Chris Bryant, saving at least one run, if not two right there, and keeping the score tied. Just 3 innings in, we've already been treated to box office baseball, and it's only going up from here. Chris Bryant, he singles to lead off the fourth. But here's where it goes sour for the Indians. Corey Kluber gets up on Rizzo. 0-2 count, and he plunks him. And the Cubs have 2 men on with nobody out. Now, we like to talk about hit by pitches a lot on this channel because I find it very interesting. I would say Rizzo looks like he's making an attempt to get out of the way, but he's not really. Anthony Rizzo is one of those guys who is very comfortable at getting hit by the pitch. In a game of this magnitude, he's not going to let a little bruise stop him. Great job. And that brings up Ben Zobrist, who hits a tapper to first base, should be an easy double play, but Mike Napoli overthrows his man. Thankfully, Francisco Lindor making a nice play, snagging the ball, and getting a foot down on the base, at least gets 1 out there. But I do want to bring up the fact that we're looking at 2 top 5 defensive teams in outs above average for the 2016 season. The Cubs ranked at number 1, and the Cleveland Indians ranked at number 5. Runners on the corners, first pitch swinging Addison Russell. A lazy, shallow fly ball to Rajai Davis, and Chris Bryant tags up. You see, he gets his foot right between the wickets. He goes 5-hole on Roberto Perez and scores a run for the Cubs. And that is just perfect execution from Chicago. That is not typically a ball you're looking to tag up on. But Rajai Davis having a very weak arm in center, and Chris Bryant, who I feel a lot of people didn't know was this fast. In 2016, he ranked in the top 88th percentile in sprint speed. Cubs use that data, they be aggressive, and they score the go-ahead run. Next up for the Cubs, Wilson Contreras. The game plan against him for Corey Kluber is breaking balls. First at bat, that's pretty much all he saw, and second at bat, much the same, which is fine up until you hang one. And he makes Corey Kluber pay, hits a big double, and the Cubs add on another run. They go up 3-1. Jason Hayward pops up to stop the bleeding, get out of the inning there for the 4th. On to the 5th, Javi Baez, first pitch swing and sees a slider. This is an excellent spot from Kluber. That is exactly where the scouting report tells you to pitch Javi Baez, a slider up and away. That's just a great aggressive swing on the first pitch of the AB, and that's going to knock out Corey Kluber. The Cubs go up 4-1, and in comes Andrew Miller. Has been virtually untouchable in the postseason. 9 pitches in an electric at-bat against Chris Bryant. Chris is eventually able to take a free pass to first base. He gets on with the walk. Next man up, Anthony Rizzo hitting a line drive single to right field. Just look at Chris Bryant fly. You got to appreciate the speed on this man. Bottom of the 5th, the Indians looking for some life. The first 2 go down quickly. And then this at bat to Carlos Santana, which a little controversial. A 2-2 pitch is called a ball. Now, if you were looking away from the screen for a second, I implore you to look now. A clear strike that would have ended the inning. But it's going to end with Carlos Santana moving on to first base and John Lester coming out of the bullpen. And coming with John Lester, a double switch. David Ross is going to replace Wilson Contreras. Jason Kipnis, it's a tapper out in front of the catcher. A bad throw. It's a tough play. You gotta hustle. And further than that, it goes into the crowd. So Carlos Santana is standing at third base and Jason Kipnis at second base. And I feel bad for Rossi. He's fresh out of the dugout, hasn't had a chance to really stretch yet. And then a really tough play. This is a curveball that's going to land right before the plate. Very tough to block. And it caroms off David Ross's mask. Bounces towards the first base dugout, and 2 runners are able to score. Cleveland shortens the deficit 3-5, heading into the 6th. And David Ross immediately makes up for those 2 miscues. A home run. This would be his last game in Major League Baseball. And what a moment. A home run against Andrew Miller. Game 7 of the World Series. The Cubs get one of those runs right back And for just a bit, both offenses would become a bit stagnant. Jon Lester gets through the heart of the Indians' order fairly easily. Moving on to the 7th, the top of the Cubs' order is going to see the minimum of at-bats. Bottom of 7, fairly similar. Jon Lester is rolling at this point. Top of 8, Cody Allen starts rolling. He gets Rizzo, Zobrist, and Addison Russell down 1-2-3. Not until the bottom of 8 where things start to get interesting. Lester gets Lindor to ground out. He strikes out Mike Napoli on 5 pitches. Things are looking great. Chicago is starting to celebrate back at home. They need 4 more outs, but a hard-hit ground ball to shortstop that Addison Russell just can't quite play. J-Ram gets on, and on comes Aroldis Chapman to replace Jon Lester. A mid-season acquisition, a rental from the New York Yankees. Aroldis came on and pitched some of the best of his career with the Cubs. First batter, Brandon Guyer, 7 pitch at-bats, sees 7 fastballs. He's able to take a double the other way. It's good enough to score Jose Ramirez, bring 1 run back, down 2, and in comes Rajai Davis. This was at the heart of Aroldis Chapman saying, F you, I throw 105. And all these righties are seeing is 4-seam fastballs. Rajai Davis similarly gets 7 of them until he hits a line drive home run to left field just over the wall at Progressive Field, and the crowd goes berserk. It's a tie game, and Rajai Davis, a man who had hit just 55 home runs in his 3,999 plate appearances, has the entire baseball world stunned. Aroldis would end up getting out of it without giving up another run, striking out Yan Gomes. And it brings us to the 9th inning. Cody Allen walking David Ross. Jason Hayward would trade places, getting on to first base with the fielder's choice, and later stealing second base. And he get to third base. A tough hop. Jason Kipnis can't handle it. Ball goes into center, and the go-ahead run 90 feet away. Javier Baez on a full count squares for a bunt, fouling off and thus striking out. And following that, Dexter Fowler grounds out to end the top of the 9th. And of course, hindsight is 20/20. But if the Indians would have walked that off in the ensuing bottom half of the 9th, I can't even imagine the kind of cuss words that Cub fans would start hurling Joe Maddon's way. Aroldis would stay on for the bottom of 9, and he would be nails. 1-2-3. As if this game wasn't crazy enough, now a rain delay hits. It was raining fairly hard there. At the start of the 9th inning, the rain clouds kept rolling in. It'd only be a 17-minute delay, but anybody who saw this live would tell you that felt like an hour. The delay did not hurt the Cubs. Kyle Schwarber leads off the top of the 10th, hitting another single to right field after a scary fly ball out off the bat of Chris Bryant. Warning track shot, not quite enough. 1 man on, 1 out. Terry Francona gives the signal. They're going to intentionally walk Anthony Rizzo, which I think is a great choice. Brian Shaw is basically a cutter exclusive pitcher. And for a pitch that breaks horizontally coming into a lefty, I think it was a good choice. It just so happened that Ben Zobrist, who is 0 for 4 on the night, excellent textbook hitting, takes an outside cutter, spanks it the other way, and hits an RBI double. Another intentional walk from there. Makes a lot of sense to load the bases, get the double play in order. No double play would occur. Miguel Montero sees a cutter down the middle, takes it the other way through the 5.5 hole, and the Cubs are up 2. That'd be the end of Brian Shaw's night. In comes Trevor Bauer, who is struggling quite a bit at this point in the postseason. Bases loaded, 1 out, and Bauer gets both Hayward and Baez. And on for the save, Carl Edwards Jr. against the heart of the Indians' order. Mike Napoli is going to strike out. Jose Ramirez grounds out to shortstop. All of a sudden, the Cubs are 1 out away. But then Carl would start to lose it. A bad walk, 3 fastballs non-competitive below the zone. Brandon Guyer takes first base, and Rajai Davis, in a moment of deja vu, gets the exact same fastball. This one doesn't go over the wall, not quite, but it's a huge clutch RBI single to bring it within 1 and bring the winning run up to the plate, which is Michael Martinez. Michael, having just 3 at-bats in the entire postseason, will flash back to the 9th inning. He was a defensive replacement for Coco Crisp. Coco Crisp was 35 years old at that point. He had definitely lost a step. He wasn't a bad outfielder, nor was Michael Martinez a very good outfielder. Michael just had a bit more of an arm. Terry Francona very possibly thinking about Rajai Davis not making the big throw to get Chris Bryant on the sacrifice fly earlier in the game. It's a tough call. I don't know if I would have made that call, but Michael Martinez steps in against Mike Montgomery, who replaces Carl Edwards Jr. And 2 curveballs later, the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. After 108 years, the Cubs stand alone as champions once again. Without a doubt, the best baseball game I've watched in my entire life. I mean, everything was so perfect. 2 teams that hadn't won in generations, leading up to a Game 7 with 2 star pitchers on the mound. You had the Rajai Davis game-tying 2-run shot, which shocked the entire world. A rain delay heading into extra innings. This game was perfect. I'm extremely glad that I got the chance to go back and re-experience what was my favorite moment as a baseball fan, with no horse in the race, not a fan of either team, just an appreciator of greatness. This being the 7th anniversary of the 2016 World Series. And I'm really looking forward to seeing in the comment section all the different emotions that you guys lived through watching it as well.